So it's because of facts like this is why I'm saying we are determined by our skin. What is skin? Skin is flesh. All animals on planet Earth have flesh. Dogs have flesh. Cows have flesh. But are they human beings? So if a dog with a light complexion of skin and a cow with light complexion of skin as compared to a gorilla with dark complexion of skin, is either one of them a human being? Does either one of them belong to a nation of people? Nation, birth. The reason you're wondering about birth or who was giving birth to you is because from your parents you know what you are. Because they give you the DNA through the blood. Not through the flesh, the skin, but through the bloodline. Right? What you are is a human being. Why are you a human being? Because of your spirit. That's how you know the spirit of a people. That's how you know who they are, by the nation that they come through. Right? Certain nations have been known throughout history for being wild. And some are known for being passive. They're known for their spirit, which is passed down from generation to generation. Right? So when you're talking about complexions of skin, like the brother keeps trying to show us, right? Asiatics, which is what our race is, right? Asiatics is what our spirit is, which is something that I'll go into later on another show, right? But Asiatic, we come in many complexions. And the brother, when he was showing you pictures of certain Arabs and Turks, they have the same fathers and mothers of civilization that we have. Because we are those fathers and mothers. We gave birth to them. Just like you're looking at me right now, and I have this lighter shade of skin, I'm not an Arab, and I'm not a Turk. But I have the same ancient forefathers and mothers that they have. Because we come in shades. We come in tones. We come in complexions. And it is not these shades and complexions that make us who we are. It is who we are inside that makes us who we are. We are not our skin. We are not the flesh. Right? That's why you have a mind. That's why you're able to think. Tell me what shade, what tone your mind is. See, I can tell the complexion of his mind by his attitude, by how he was acting. And you'll be able to tell the same by me. If you let it go that route. See, this is one of the reasons in his misunderstanding of our teachings when he was talking about the color white. In our lessons, we say that white means purity. Purity means God. God means the ruler of the land. Right? Now, he said this was a white supremacy thing, talking about the Europeans, even though we don't call Europeans white. We call them pale. Because their skin complexion is a pale complexion. It is not white, just like I was telling you about the crayon box. Right? You ain't never met a white man. He may have looked kind of whitish in his complexion, but you ain't never met a white man. Because white men don't, white don't come in colors or in shades and tones and degrees and grades. Right? Neither does black. So black couldn't have produced a white man. A black man couldn't have produced a white man. Right? Because that's not a shade. White is not a shade of black. You go in the crayon box, I don't care how much you shade it, that black crayon is not going to turn white. It just ain't going to do it. So we have to be more realistic about what we're saying. So coming back to the term white, right? He was saying that when we say white means purity, purity means God, God means the ruler of the land. He said that's a white supremacy teaching. But the fool holds up Egypt. The fool, when talking about the fez, he showed us the white crown of Egypt. Then he gave this whole demonstration about how the white crown represents the one who ruled the whole land. Hello? The color white. Why? Why was the crown white? Why was the crown that Osiris wore white? Why was the crown that everybody in South Egypt wore, why was it white? Because it represented purity. What kind of purity? The purity of the spirit. The man, the you that's inside, the spirit man, the spirit. Right? Not the flesh. That's not what it represents. It represents what's inside. Purity. Holiness. That's another word for it. So white means purity or holiness. Being of a divine nature. And isn't that what Osiris was? When his brother killed him, when Set killed him, when one African killed another, right? Because they were both supposed to be living in Africa at the time, right? In the land of the gods, which was supposed to be in Africa, right? When this one African killed the other African, what happened? His spirit moved on and became the Lord of the universe. Right? That's why they hold up Osiris. Go look his story up. They hold him up as the king of the next plane or the next planet or the next level of life you're supposed to go to. His spirit did that. He didn't do it physically because he died physically. And that's what makes you a nation, the spirit. See, that's the lesson in that. So white, he was always dressed in all white. Why? Because of his spirit. Because it was pure and holy. Right? And what was it? What was he called because of this? He was called a god. because he manifested this, right? White purity God, the one who unfolds and manifests his spirit to the highest degree, the highest level of human life. That's what makes you a human being. All dogs got flesh, but are they human? No. So now, if man, because of his spirit, which is pure and holy, or white, right, in symbolically speaking, then what does that make him? What is he? What does he become? He becomes the ruler of the land. Does not man rule the land? And is there not one man over all those men in most of our ancient cultures? Even today, it is democracy, or so-called democracy, this republic. We got a president. We got one man who is the executive ruler over the United States of America. Right? So, and if he says that our usage of the terms white purity God and ruler of the land is a European white slave cracker supremacy teaching, then the whole teaching about Osiris in Egypt is a white cracker supremacy teaching. Because Osiris wore all white. He wore a white crown. He was pure. He was a god, and he ruled the land. See, that's what he's not understanding. Our teachers come directly from and manifest and unfold to a higher and greater degree what the ancient Egyptians were talking about. And it's greater because now we're in modern times. We have more modern science to back up everything that they were talking about back then. Everything he doesn't understand today, and he's talking all this stuff about the moral science of America, we have it. We have all that science. We have all them degrees. And if he would have came and asked a real Moorish American about those lessons, he'd have got some real answers. And he wouldn't be as confused as he is right now. You know, he would have made a statement like Moorish science, false teachings. Right? Because even though that's poor English, that's improper English. But it really tells the truth about where his spirit stands. Right? Because if you know anything about the English language, you'll know that if you say God's hand, you can also say the hand of God. Right? Those are two separate subject matters. God's hand, God is one subject matter, or one now, hand is the other. God's hand, or it can also be said the hand of God. So it's more science, false teachings. Now, proper English, if he was trying to get a negative idea across, he should have said more science is false teachings, or more science are false teachings. He didn't say that. He said more science, false teachings. So in proper English, what he said was more science, false teachings, or his false teachings about more science. Right? His ignorance about more science. His cast out, cast away, cast down teachings about more science. That's why he's running around calling a holy prophet a nigger, but then turns around and holds up people he called grandmaster teachers, but all of them are black, Negro, and colored. All of them call themselves black, Negro, and colored. The names the slave masters gave them. The marks the slave masters gave them. He'll put down a prophet of Allah who told him he's no longer black, Negro, black, and colored, that those marks don't represent him anymore, that he is descended from people in Africa who came from even before that, because even the European scientists will tell you in their study of genealogy, ethnology, archaeology, anthropology, and all the other ologies that they give us, right, that the people of Africa today, those modern people there now, all descended from Asia somewhere. Even the Bible, which he quotes, because he calls the Kushite Empire, right? I looked at a couple of the other videos he put on it. The Kushite Empire, who was Cush? Cush was the son of Ham. Who was Ham? The son of Noah. Who was Noah? The son of Lamech. I mean, of Jared. No, Lamech. And he all the way back to Enoch, Enoch to Jared all the way back to Adam before, to the people before him. Now, if Cush came from Ham and Ham came from Noah, that's the Bible. Who are these people? Where did Noah come from? It says that Noah landed after the flood on Mount Arafat. That's in Asia. That's in what you call in modern-day Turkey. But he has such a problem with the Turks, or the people living there now, because he says they did evil things to people. But who didn't? Name an ancient empire that didn't enslave other people. The Syrian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, the Egyptian Empire, the Hindu empires of the Indus Valley civilization. Name some empires that didn't grow from dominating other empires or other nations. Name one. I don't know any of the ancient nations that didn't do that. It was a common practice back then. Just because it's not a common practice now, don't mean it wasn't back then. So when you try to point the finger at one group of people, you got to point the finger at all of them.